Hey Underdogs, it's Stacy from Underdog Wellness, and I have a 20-minute video for you that's just a little touch of Pilates, a little bit of yoga stretching, and then a little bit of relaxation with this little ball here. So all you'll need basically is a mat, no shoes, and a ball. It's not very big, it's larger than a tennis ball, but not very big, and it does have a little bit of give. It's not completely solid. So if you can get one of these or something similar, you do want it to be kind of soft. We're gonna start with our Pilates portion, and I'm gonna set my timer so I know where I am. And we're gonna sit with our feet on the mat, knees bent. We're gonna place the ball not right on the knee joint, it's gonna go between the thighs, but you're gonna put it kind of halfway between your hip and your knee joint. So your feet are comfortable, you're squeezing that ball with your inner thighs. You're gonna take the pads of your fingers and place them right underneath your legs, but you're not gripping with your arms. We don't want to use our arms or our biceps. It's just a light touch. So we start inhaling nice and tall, beautiful posture, but then we're going to lose that posture. So we're going to exhale, roll ourselves back until our arms are pretty straight, not hanging on for dear life or anything. And then I'm going to keep this rounded shape that I have with my body, and I'm going to bring that up. So I don't touch my thighs with my chest. They stay rounded in the back. And we roll it back, and we come up. So we'll do the breath. It's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale to finish. So inhale back, exhale, hold, inhale up, exhale, finish. So there's two solid breaths right there. Again, not using my arms, really using my abdominals, trying to keep them scooped. Almost imagine your thighs are on fire, and when you come up, you don't want to touch your chest to your thighs. You're keeping everything scooped and pulled back. One more, and we roll it back, and we let go. So stay nice and loose for the shoulders, the fingers, even the face, and roll down one vertebra at a time until your head is on the mat. Keeping the ball between your thighs. We're going to just walk the feet a little closer. And I always like to give the pelvis a lift and a lower so that the low back doesn't feel jammed in any way. We're still hugging that ball. So you have an option here for the 100. So we're going to do a traditional Pilates warm up. Before we do that though, we're going to rock the pelvis. So we tilted the pelvis. I'm just moving my arms so you can see my low back is pressing into the mat, and then I roll my hips away. I start all mat work like this. I want to always check in with that low back for everybody, just to make sure it's good. Nothing worse than getting ready to do some ab work and realizing your back's not feeling good today. And then just release that. So now the pelvis matches the floor and the ceiling, it's not tilted in either direction. You can keep the ball between your thighs, you can get rid of it, or you can put it between your ankles, your feet, okay? So you get that choice. Legs can tabletop like this, so knees bent, shins parallel to the ground, the easiest position. Straight up a little bit more challenging, or high diagonal, your choice. Float the fingers, reach them across the room. The rib cage gets closer to the hip bone, long arms. Let's pump that. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, out, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 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 hug those knees in, let the head rest down, give them a little hug. Keep the ball between your ankles, so move it if you need to. And then we're gonna send the legs long with that ball there. Hug the feet as tight together as you can, but make sure your feet are flexed as though you were standing on the floor. So you're digging your heels into the ground. Fingertips come up to the ceiling, plug your shoulders into the back, hands are nice and wide. Inhale, lift your head as though you were looking through a window pane and peel yourself up as slowly as you can. As you go forward, keep your shoulders on your back and then roll yourself down. So dig the heels into the floor, roll yourself as you go, nice and slow. And again, peel and lift. There should be no flinging or catching or yanking. If you can't come up without your feet coming off the ground, that's totally fine. I'll show you what that would look like. So instead, you might look like this, and that is totally fine. My shoulders are still on my back, and then I release. I'm gonna do one more like that. So I can feel that rib cage get closer to the hip bone, and I hold it, and I roll back down. So that is much more authentic than trying to fling or throw yourself, or feet coming off the ground, or these fast, jerky movements. Eventually, you will get strong enough to do these nice and slow. Sometimes it takes longer than you think, but it can happen. Roll it down, and arms by the sides. We're gonna take our left foot and we're gonna put it on the ball. We just wanna make sure that the nose and the big toe line up with each other, and then we're gonna bend the right knee. Just lift the pelvis enough to make sure that it feels like it's even. We'll send the leg into the air, and let's just check in with the hamstring, little stretch here. And then send your leg where the ceiling meets the wall so that our hips stay nice and even, and we circle around and circle. The other leg shouldn't move, the pelvis shouldn't move. Think of a hot cup of coffee with no lid on your belly. Shoulders stay plugged in, they shouldn't be popping off the mat, they stay plugged in. And then reverse the circle. And 2, and 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's stretch it. And put that foot on the ball so it just slides over. Put your foot on the mat just to make sure the hips feel nice and even. And then the leg goes into the air, find the stretch. Send it out and circle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Reverse. And it's not a really big circle. The feet are relaxed. Shoulders are plugged in. So we're not working too hard here, but we're lengthening out of the hip socket, and our abs are in complete control here. And then one more time, let's stretch. And lower. Let's see if we can put the other foot on the ball too. It's tiny, but we'll try to hold it. And then we send those fingertips to the ceiling, peeling ourselves up and rolling forward. Good. Rolling like a ball. We want to come forward on the mat here so that there's lots of mat behind us for that spine. We don't need our ball. We're going to put our ankles on, or hands on our ankles, sorry. Rock it back. Our feet are off the ground. Pulling the belly back, rolling the shoulders and looking right out at the belly. We rock to the tips of the shoulder blades, right back up. Tips, right back up. The head and the feet don't touch the ground at all. Just rocking back and forth. And if that's too much for you, you could just hold this while I'm talking, while I'm rocking and rolling. This is plenty of work here. Abs are still working. And then we roll ourselves down. Very nice. So that's our little Pilates portion. Now we're going to come to all fours for yoga. So we did a lot of ab work there. We're going to check in with our spine. So coming to all fours, we've got our shoulder over our wrist, hip over our knee, making sure we haven't locked out our elbows, that they're nice and soft, they face towards each other. We inhale, lift and arch the back. And exhale, round. And inhale, lift. And exhale, round. So that's it. We're just warming up that spine. We're checking in with it. We're noticing how it's feeling. And come back to center. Now from here, we're going to just shimmy our hips side to side. That's it, just kind of like a dog wagging its tail. And then we'll do that, but then we'll add the rib cage. So hips go one way, rib cage goes the other, and switch, and switch, and switch. Now get your shoulders involved, and that could mean the elbows start to bend. And there's a little bit of an S pattern with the spine. Maybe one hip dips and one shoulder dips. There's a little bit more freedom here. And then the head gets going. So the head, the shoulders, the hips, everything's doing its own thing. As long as it feels good, you are good to go. Good. And then we're going to come back, and as we do that, we're going to bring one hand behind us and come forward and drag along the mat and come up. And then other way, so we drag the arm back and come over and over, waking up the shoulder. And come back here. Good. We're going to walk the hands a little further for puppy pose, so the hips are going to stay directly over the knees, and then we come down, forehead to the floor. Let's stretch that out. That should feel really nice, a lot of length through the spine. And then we'll just walk the hands back a little tiny bit. We're going to release one arm out to the side, and then we're going to thread it through between the other shoulder and the mat. Head comes down. There's our thread the needle. And then let's replace it, other side. So we're going to go out to the side first, then take it to the thread. The head comes down, and we're holding right here. We should feel good. And release. Let's take it back to child's pose. So we sit on our heels, let the forehead come down. And if we want to, the hands can come around for baby pose. And then we're going to come back into that kind of cat-cow position. You have two options. We're going to take the left knee. We can put it inside the thumb, a little bit easier, especially if your hips are tighter, or we can take it outside the hand if the hips are a little bit more open, okay? So we're going to pick one of those options. And then we scooch this back toe under, and we're just going to bring it back, trying to get our pelvis as low to the ground as we can. If it won't go very low and you still have your ball and you want to just prop it up, your hip up, just put it underneath like that, depending on where you're feeling it today. As we do that, we want to check to make sure that our right foot isn't hanging out to the right, it's actually kind of hugging, and the foot lines up in line with our hip. Now we'll come up onto our fingertips and we're going to lift tall, and then we're going to fold ourselves down and lift tall and fold down. So nice open hips here. And then let's come all the way to the elbows, and we can begin to kind of rock side to side. So if your hips and your quads or anything's feeling tight, a little bit of movement side to side kind of helps you loosen all that up. Remembering to breathe and be easy with yourself. No forcing or pushing. If you need to come out of it, you can. If you need to adjust your foot and bring it closer to the groin, you can. Do what feels good here. And then eventually maybe we can come a little bit lower depending. What are your hips telling you? What is your knee telling you? Always listening to our body. And then see if we can take a little full-on rest here. Deep, deep breathing, feeling the hips stretch, feeling things open, or backing off if we need to. And let's come up. Now to get out of this, we're going to uncurl that back toe right there. And we scooch so that we can get those knees underneath us, and we're back into this all fours position. Other side. So the right knee is either going to come inside the thumb or outside the hand, depending on what you did before and what your hips usually tell you. Curl that toe under, scooch it back, and ease yourself down. Release the foot. Give yourself a little gander, check again that the foot lines up with your hip. Come on up on fingertips, and then really lengthen your spine as you come down. Lifting up, abs are pulled in, and then lengthening. That should feel nice. And then let's take it to elbows and just kind of rock a little side to side and see what's happening in the glutes, in the hip, shoulders, whatever you're feeling. Check in with your knee. And then slowly we'll work our way all the way down to the forehead. Seeing how that feels, noticing if one side is tighter than the other. That is not unusual. Had hair in my face, sorry. And just breathe here. Notice if you're trying to lift up. Let's slowly come on up, getting those hands underneath us, curling the back toe under, scooching up a little bit, coming back to all fours, and just sort of, from here, we're gonna sit back and swing our legs around. And now we're gonna play with this little ball. So they're taking it more into a yin yoga kind of pose. So we're gonna hold the ball, but we're gonna lay down. Lengthen your body out. Let your feet fall open. Wiggle through everything. Get yourself comfortable. And just breathe here. So notice, take a body scan and notice where your body is touching the mat and what parts of your body lift off of it. And you might find that it's, could be behind your knees or ankles. You might feel a little lift up. Sometimes people's hamstrings lift off depending on how big their booty is. Sometimes there's a little bit of space there. Lumbar spine, a lot of space for some people there. Sometimes not. You know, it really depends on how we're built in our pelvis and how it's tilted. There should be, no matter who you are, space underneath your neck. So make sure that you're not jamming your chin into your chest, that you do have the back of your head touching the mat, and there should be space underneath your neck. Okay, so now we're gonna take the ball and we're gonna place it at the sacrum. So if we start to roll to the side, so I put a foot down to roll, it's this place where your glutes meet your low back, but it is not your lumbar spine where you have that curve. It's this spot right here, this kind of flat area, right where your glutes start. That's where we put our ball. And then we roll up onto that ball and we let that leg extend. If you're taking care of your back, my battery got a little low. I don't know if it's still filming or not. There we go. Is it still filming? It is still filming. Okay. So we have that ball underneath and we just lay there with our feet coming open and we just lay on that ball. So the idea is to really melt around the ball into the floor and just feel the weight of your body on that ball. If it feels weird, that's okay. If it feels so uncomfortable that you can't even breathe, roll away, take it away, and don't worry about it, okay? So it's for some people, it's an on and off kind of thing, especially if they're taking care of their back. But if you're okay, then you're just gonna learn how to let body parts relax. And for some of us, some people get on these balls and if, like, watch my legs, they stiffen everything up, they squeeze their glutes and they're holding themselves here. No, 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 let your glutes go, let everything release and relax. Let's take that ball away. So we literally fall off of it, reach for it, take it away, and breathe here. That's it. And we just hold and breathe. So it helps to sometimes lengthen out the lumbar spine for some people, and we do a series where maybe we're on this for longer, or we come on and off and on and off and on and off. The other spot we're going to do today, just for today, you're going to have the ball in one hand, your other hand is nice and loose. You're going to take that hand and you are going to lift your head up. Do not use your neck. We don't want to strain the neck. We don't want muscles working. You place the ball at the base of the skull, you set it there, and then you let the arms go. So the head is literally just melting into the ball. Should be that little notch at the base of the skull. Some people like it a little bit lower. You should feel like your chin is jammed into your chest. You can tee the arms here. A lot of people like to do that to open up the chest and really let the shoulders go, but you play with it. You want to find what's comfortable for you. If you take a body scan below the waist and you feel like your legs want to move and fall open just a little bit, make that adjustment. That's totally fine. If for any reason you're uncomfortable and this is bothering your neck, or you can't breathe, or you're in any kind of pain or discomfort, always get out of it. Again, one hand takes the ball, the other hand lifts up the head. So make sure you lift up the head first so your neck doesn't have to work. We really want the neck to relax here. If you want to gently rock your head side to side, that's always an option. And then the last thing we'll do is we're going to use that hand again to lift the head up. Other hand takes the ball away, and we gently lower the head back to the ground. You can let go of the ball there, and we're just going to stay here for a few breaths. Again, checking in with ourselves, making sure our body is comfortable for a little tiny shavasana. Checking in with our body, noticing how it's touching the mat again. Breathing again. Let's stretch through the fingers and the toes, lengthen everything, open the ribcage up, great big inhale. And then hug one knee at a time into your chest. Give them a little hug, let your booty lift off the ground, rock a little side to side. And then slowly rock or roll yourself up to a seated position. So I know there's a little goof in the middle of this little timing. My battery was dying in the middle of this, or towards the end of this video. This is my little test video to see if I can actually film and get a over 15-minute video on YouTube. So this is kind of a test video. If it does go well, I will refilm it. So we'll see where we are. But anyway, thank you for participating, watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, bye.